Hey, everybody, I'm back. John Alite Show. Check me out on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. And I'm going to get right back into it because the election's coming up and it's November 5th. Everybody's got to go out and watch your polls, make sure people aren't going in, cheating, counting each vote. Everybody be aware of what goes on. And this year, it's very important. I really believe, and I never said this, and I tell everybody when I talk, people say, why are you so entangled in politics now? And it's very simple. Years ago, Lucky Luciano got involved for America during the war and sacrificed a lot to help with U-boats outside Italy and discussing what the knowledge he had to save this country. And there's no difference here. If we don't fight now for our children, our grandchildren, there won't be an America as we know it. And the agenda is, if you pay attention to history, and if you pay attention to Schwab or any of these people that are talking, they want complete control over you and they want you to like it. They want you to own nothing and be okay with basically being slave. Told you, when you have these whacked out guys like Bill Gates, billionaire, weird guy, right? Billionaire, so what? He puts his pants on the same as everybody else. He looks like a goofball. He lived nonstop at Epstein Island. His wife left him because of it, and now he's screwing with the atmosphere with trying to change the weather conditions in the sky. This is insane. How this could be legal that one person can do this against the whole humanity is incredible. How is this not being stopped? Again, this is a guy who has no life, and he's been accused of fondling around with children. Now, we weren't there. Is it true? Who knows? His wife left him because she wasn't happy he was at Epstein Island. So, my own personal opinion, do I think he's a little pedophile? Yeah, I think he is. That's my personal opinion. It doesn't mean I'm right. But the guy's a weird guy. He's buying all farmland up, and he's trying to force people with chemicals that RFK has been talking about. Is killing this country. It's killing our children. Years ago, you didn't have kids being born with autism and all kinds of different diseases that now they're born with. Years ago, you didn't see kids with asthma. And now it's like, I don't know what the numbers are. They're astronomical. And the reason why RFK is coming out is because somebody needs to stop these organizations, whether the FDA or any of these CDC with medicines, and they're all corrupted. They're corrupted by Big Pharma and these billionaires that are pushing things through, and there's pesticides on all our food. You got countries like Italy won't accept our food because they're so dangerous. So cancer here is up. Cancer now for younger people, they're talking about screening colon cancer in their 30s. This is something that you didn't screen until you're in your 50s or so. It's because of the corruption within our people, our government, that is destroying the health of this country, the obesity of kids. And when you have a guy like RFK who takes country before self and he teams up with Donald Trump, our president, and Tulsi Gabbard from Hawaii, an ex-veteran, these are people that really care about the people first. And they prove it because they cross the aisle to each other and work with each other and help each other. And they're trying to stop what's going on in this country. It amazes me with such educated people how they still put vaccines left and right in their arm after they see the destruction it has caused. I don't know if it's just sheep or it's very easy to brainwash them or a combination of uneducated, lazy, and they'll just keep putting needle and needle into their arms, into their children's arms, without even reading about it, fact checking, talking to experts that are against these vaccines and ask them why. Get a different opinion. I watch the news a lot and I watch CNN, and you see how biased they are, and they wonder why the rates are so low. And then you see a couple here and there journalists with integrity, and they try to do the right thing and ask the right thing. But then you have journalists like Neil Cavuto that goes on Fox News and pretends he's a conservative journalist, and he starts taking shots at everybody. He's a left-wing guy. You know what he is. It doesn't take a rocket scientist to see what he is. So the problem is people just are like sheep. They just follow. Now, why would you put something in your arm after RFK is out talking about all these vaccines, what's going on, all the food, pesticides, how it's affecting the human body, how it's affecting diseases and different ailments that we're getting now that we never had years ago? Why would you just follow along, like I said, and just continue in the same path when you see something's wrong. And then when you go through the freedom of this country, can't you see the difference? Years ago, whether you liked President Reagan, whether you liked Gerald Ford, whether you liked Jimmy Carter, who happened to be a nice guy, just a rotten president. I always said I like Bill Clinton. I mean, I don't like some of the personal things that have come out about him, but I'm nobody to judge him. I guess we're all going to be judged one day by God. But I think all these guys had back then anyway, Bill Clinton had the mindset to protect this country and do the right thing for this country. Now, I think it's a different ballgame. I think they're trying to methodically destroy this country within. And the president of El Salvador was on several interviews, and he said a country couldn't go down this fast without the intentions of the government to bring it down this fast. And, nobody's really that naive to say, how is it that this country is okay with 2 assassination attempts on our president, President Trump? How are you okay with that? Every journalist should nonstop be talking about how they're against this. How can we stand for a country where our political people are being shot at, that are trying to be killed, that are being dehumanized? This should be the number one priority of our journalists. Forget about politicians, because these politicians now incite riots, incite violence, incited the George Floyd stuff, incited the Hamas-Israeli conflicts. They're going in front of podiums and inciting it instead of trying to put the fire out. They incited the Minnesota violence and the burning down of the city. These people are nothing like great leaders like Martin Luther King Jr. Nothing. This guy would talk about no violence, talk about bringing people together. There's the difference of what's going on today from the leaders in the past. Leaders in the past didn't incite this. I lived a life of violence. I just shake my head and say, how can these people talk this way? It's so insane when I'm hearing them. And I'm like, are they this? Do they think this is a game on TV? Do they realize this is people's lives? President Trump, whether you like him as a person or not, you don't believe in his policies or not, he's a father, he's a grandfather, he has children, he has family, he's a human being. Where in these crazy people's minds do they think it's okay to say it? How about if they were talking about, or we were talking about their family? And if somebody told them, well, if the president gets killed, so is your mother, or so is your father, or so is your husband, so is your child, would you talk the same way? So what's the hatred in their own lives that they bring that out so viciously, and they get in front of a camera? And you're talking about, and then I go back to people like Oprah Winfrey. She did everything but got on her knees in front of Donald Trump on her show years ago. Watch how much she loved him. Watch how much she said he was the greatest thing since Hershey's chocolate. And now she talks completely different. This is a woman that tries to relate with the regular society. You're a multi-billionaire, spoiled lady, talks about being abused as a child, but yet you're on Epstein Island. They're so full of crap, these people. I mean, they're not fooling. And listen, we grew up in the inner cities, so they're not fooling any of us. It's one thing to get slapped in the face once, but when you keep getting slapped over and over again. And I talked to a guy the other day, and he was driving. We were at Philadelphia, and he was in traffic, and somebody had a sign about Trump, and he put his finger up, and he said, F Trump. And then his girlfriend said, F you, because she was in the car. And then I asked him, I said, do you know how much money you paid on the gas, on the Trump? And he goes, no, I don't have no idea. How much money you paying out for gas? And then his girlfriend told him. And then he goes, all right, fuck F, excuse my language, F Harris and Biden. I like Trump. I mean, it's simple as that. As an American, I'm a Dallas Cowboy fan, right? But if they're playing the Giants, well, the Giants ain't going to beat them these days. But if they're playing somebody else, if they're playing the Eagles, and I think the Eagles are going to win, I'm betting the Eagles. F Dallas Cowboys, I'm going for my pocket. So under Trump, it's the same thing. He ain't marrying you. He ain't living with you. He's not part of your family. But if you go to the store and he saves you a couple $100 in food, why wouldn't you vote for him? I'm just curious. Why wouldn't you vote for him? If you are worried about peace around the world, why wouldn't you vote for him? They can bull crap you all you want, but he didn't have no wars. He didn't lock anybody up. He didn't do anything that was dictatorship, like they try to lie and say. You have something to base it off of. He had 4 years as one of the greatest presidents ever. His accomplishments were incredible. Internationally, there was not a problem anywhere. Not with Putin, not with the UK. And this regime, for the people that are a little naive, don't understand what happened with Putin. So it's not one-sided like everybody says. This is what the United States is good at, propaganda. The United States put atomic weapons on the border of Russia in Romania. The United States also put atomic weapons in Poland on their border of Russia. The United States also blew up the pipeline of Russia. There's no real proof of that, but we know they did it. I know they did it, my opinion. So you agitate this guy. You have 25 or so chemical labs in Ukraine. No one talks about. And Russia wants them gone. They're not gone. We promised that Ukraine would never be in NATO, and they should never be. They're the most corrupt country in all of Europe. And that's well known. It's, I believe, the highest child trafficking country in all Europe. So why would they be in NATO? And then to continue that, you have, and no one's saying against the people of Russia or Ukraine. We're talking about governments. The people are all good in any country. People just want to live. They want to enjoy their lives. They want to get by. I'm not talking against Ukrainian people. I have a lot of friends, we all do, from different countries. The problem is they try to make us bite into hating each other from country to country, and then no matter what country it is, whether it's France, whether it's Africa, whether it's Italy, people just want to have a good life, exist, and be healthy. But our governments are playing chess, and they use the citizens as pawns. And when you buy into the propaganda, we know this country lies. We've seen it over the years, how many lies that they've been caught in. Atomic weapons under Dick Cheney. Let's talk about Dick Cheney. Atomic weapons in Iraq. He had no atomic weapons. That's a lie. It was a complete lie. We went there, we killed Saddam Hussein, we fucking destroyed his country, and now they're allies of Iran. Well, that was really intelligent. But leave it to the CIA, they'll screw up anything. So now you made more trouble. No different than when I talk about Iran. Iran, they have suppressed the Muslim people of that country, the kids, the children that are coming up trying to have a life. They beat them, they jailed them, they tortured them. And you don't hear the Muslim communities anywhere around the world talk for Iran, for the Iranian people. Why is that? You got to ask yourself, why is that? And Donald Trump, to follow suit with that, weakened the Iranian government by not giving them money, by not trading with them, not allowing our allies to trade with them. He kept them stifled, which gave the people more power to overthrow that government. Why can't anybody see that? But now, under Obama and Biden, they gave them billions and trillions of dollars, made them more powerful, and they supported terrorism around the world, whether it's Hamas, whether it's Houthis, whether it's Lebanon. It's incredible that people don't see the picture right in front of their face. What they have done, they give Iran the ability to build atomic weapons. We're very close to it, and then it's going to be a different ball game. They took this government, Kamala Harris and Biden, almost have us in World War III. How does everybody not see that? Keep pushing Putin, who has the most atomic weapons of any country. Keep pushing him because he's a very intelligent guy. He's no dummy. He's strong. And you have him building friendships with North Korea, with China, with other countries, with Cuba. We have warships outside our border and outside of Cuba because he's giving us a taste of our medicine, what we did to him. How many years and how many thousands of millions of hundreds of thousands of people, or millions even at this point, are going to die in both those countries? And our government hasn't made a move to stop that war. And under Donald Trump, there was no war. And under Donald Trump, that war will stop. And you can believe what you want, but then believe why wasn't there any wars under him? Nothing. Why is he the only president that showed up at the ceremony for the Gold Star families? Where was the VP, Kamala Harris, running for president, has no respect to show up for 13 fallen soldiers and their families? Everybody discounts that. We all have our freedom because of these guys. They lost their lives, and because of people like them, we all get to do what we do. We talk the way we want. We say we want. Try this in China and see what happens. Go burn the Chinese flag in front of Xi and see what he does to you. Just like when our basketball player, she wouldn't stand for our flag here. And then she went over to Russia, and she found out quickly what happens if you're in one of those countries, if you disrespect their country in any way. So the same people that complain about this country and hate this country and burn our flag, I've always been curious, why do you stay here then? Why don't you go to another country? Go to the country you like. There's hundreds of countries around the world. Go see one of those countries and see. But when you have a president like Donald Trump that actually goes out and sacrifices his life, they can't say he doesn't actually sacrifice his life. He believes so strongly for this country and for his family and his grandchildren and family unity that he goes and he takes, no, I don't know anybody, people that never been shot at or don't understand or shot, or, he was a quarter or an eighth or a 16th of an inch and he'd be dead. And he got right up and he got right back out on the trail, on the campaign trail. I don't know too many human beings that have this kind of strength that he does. And personally, you guys that don't know him, he's a nice guy. He's a gentleman. His family are. And look at all the people he's helped over the years. There's so many people that if you don't follow politics, don't know the money and the things he's done for them, and doctors. And he's done so many things for people quietly. It was a young boy he wrote a letter to that has a brain damage that just came out. There was Jennifer Hudson when her family was killed, what he did for her family, for her, after her family was murdered. There's story after story of what he did. He was just a good human being to people. They are trying to destroy him. This is something that came out of the playbook of Nazi Germany. If you can dehumanize somebody and keep up the rhetoric, people are okay with it. When you have the FBI going to people's houses because of religion, there's something very wrong with this country. When you have the FBI going to people's houses because they're a Republican or an independent and kind of try to intimidate, something's wrong with this country. When you have a DOJ like Garland, whose son-in-law started critical race theory, by the way, and is getting rich off it, something's wrong with this country. When you have Merrick Garland on Congress floor, and he's stumbling all over his words because he's lying, something's wrong. When you have Christopher Wray doing the same thing and lying like crazy, something's wrong with this country. When they don't give you the 302s from the investigation from the first shooter, something's wrong with this country. And when you cremate a body of a person who's trying to kill the president 10 days later, something's wrong with this country. And if people don't see that, they think years ago they tried to hide it from us. Now they're out in the open and they're just basically doing and saying anything they want. And any of you FBI, CIA, and anybody who's not a whistleblower or anybody conforms to this and says, well, it's my job, you're no different than the Nazi Germany soldiers that went out and started killing kids, because then you start skewing the line and you just do more and more and more. And I know, because I lived a life of crime earlier, 20 years ago. And I see the difference of what you people are doing, and you're 100 times worse than anything I've ever done, because you're going against this country. And if you go against this country, you have no morals for your family, for your children, for your grandchildren, for the future, for every veteran that lost their life over the wars forever at this country, that risked their lives every day in uniform. And let me just close it out and tell you something. When you have that bag of rocks, Kamala Harris saying that we don't have soldiers in any danger in any war zones, my friend, Akasha, her sons, is in Iraq right now. So when you have somebody that lies blatantly, or she's too stupid to know that we're in Iraq, how is this woman going to run for president? How is a woman going to run for president, couldn't get 1% vote? Who's buying this? Who's believing that this all of a sudden she's an affordable candidate? This is incredible. How can you believe a woman that will not sit down and do an interview is a legitimate candidate? Do you hear her talk? She just rambles on with word salads. She's not capable to sit up there and be honest and tell about her policies, because she does not have a policy. She laughs and talks about joy. And every time she cackles and laughs, I keep saying to myself, oh my God, you're better off with a box of rocks and put her up there and say she's the president. This woman is as intelligent as my cat. And anybody that could tell me what they like about her, what policy, she doesn't have a policy. And if you want to kill babies at 9 months, I'm sorry. Unless they were raped, unless the baby's mother was in danger of dying, there's a term of whatever it is, 3 months, say 4 months to make that decision. You have the ability to make that decision. And no different than a liberal country like France, that decision's got to be made at a certain point. If you can't make that decision at that certain point, I'm sorry. You have the baby. But if we go back to now, the abortion laws are by state. So if you want to have an abortion and you're not sure, then don't live in a state that's conservative, because it's up to the people that are voting this in. It's not up to the president. It's not up to the federal government anymore. And I think that's a good law. If you live in New York City, it's a little more liberal. So live there if that's what you think. But how about trying to take a little precaution if you're going to have a baby beforehand if you're not sure? How about taking some responsibility? We all make mistakes in our lives, and maybe plenty, more than most. But at some time in your life, you have to turn around and take responsibility for yourself and stop being a victim. Stop playing the victim. And when you look at what's going on in this world, in this country, and when you see democracies just being thrown out the window because they tossed our president out, meaning Biden, they tossed him out, forced him out. It's almost a coup. And he didn't want to leave. So who knows what kind of threats were given. And you put a woman in that was not voted in? Where's the democracy? Where is our media? Why isn't our media saying this? Why is everything related to Donald Trump? No matter whatever happens, if everything else fails, let's just blame it on Donald Trump. If there's a plane that crashes, let's just blame it on Donald Trump. If anything happens, we'll just blame it on Donald Trump. Everything's Donald Trump. I said, but the difference is, tell me where you weren't better off under Donald Trump. I'm just curious to know where. Besides the lies and the propaganda, tell me where you weren't better off under Donald Trump. If you're an American family from anywhere in the world that lives in this country legally, you tell me how you weren't better off on Donald Trump. You tell me how your money, just the inflation that Joe Biden and Kamala Harris is in control of now. Just the inflation costs your family an extra $20,000 a year. You can't buy a house if you have children. How are they going to get a house when the house cost on an average is about $400,000 and the rates now are triple from when Donald Trump was in office? When you got to go to work and your gas prices, instead of filling up your tank for $35, now it's $55 and $60. Doesn't that infuriate you as a citizen in this country? Your taxes keep going up. And when they tell you stores and the economy is great, Big Lots just closed down. All the Fridays, restaurants closed down. The Christmas tree stores, they all closed down. If you go to a store in California, everything's locked up, especially there, more than any other city. You can't even get an item out. They got it all on lock and key. This is insane. How is everybody okay? You got homeless people all over Kamala Harris's state, sleeping all over the floor, defecating all over the floor. You have illegal immigrants that are killing at will, and they're not being locked up. They're not being prosecuted. Then you have the FBI running cover and the DOJ from, and they're saying that the crime went down. Well, you left out all the major cities. So the people don't know that either. When they calculated, they forgot to add in Chicago, New York, California, and Detroit, some of the major cities. Of course, the numbers went down, and they're not prosecuting cases. Of course, the numbers went down because they're not prosecuting them. You can just go out and stab somebody, kill them, shoot them, rape them, and you're good. You're good to go. And the crime went down in these other countries, by the way. If you check the numbers in Venezuela and all these crime-ridden communist countries, because they sent them all here. All right, everybody. Open your eyes, 2024, Donald Trump. Look into it before you talk. Ask yourself questions. What does this woman stand for? Why won't she get in front of a camera and interview with anybody? She's trying to buy her time and just go in off her color and tell everybody she's black now. Tell everybody she's Indian. Nobody cares what color she is. Everybody is American here. That's the important part. America first. 2024 America. Donald Trump. Thanks. Follow me, Instagram. Follow me on YouTube. Follow me on Facebook. And follow me on TikTok. Have a great day.